Hola, buenos días, muchas gracias.
Good morning, and thank you very much for being with us today. We're going to be addressing the earnings presentation for our first quarter. Apart from our CFO, we will be joined today by the Vice President or the President who will explain the earnings and who will provide responses to your possible queries. So, Jose Manuel Inchausti, Vice President, and Jose Luis Jimenez, who is CFO of the company. Jose Manuel, whenever you will. Thank you, Javier. Good morning, all. As we said on previous occasions, we are going to be presenting this financial information in accordance with IFRS twice a year, at the middle and at the end of the fiscal year. But we will continue to appear on a quarterly basis in order to be as compliant as we can with our commitments regarding transparency, in which we will be presenting. I repeat, it is in accordance with accounting principles in place in each country, and we will provide information regarding the indicators of our business activities in different markets. As you can see on screen, our first quarter this year is as positive as Mapfre has been throughout the current strategic plan. This evolution has allowed us to put an end to 24 as our best year ever in the company. And as you can see, we have tackled 25 with the same vim and vigor. It's obvious that the macro scenario, which was very positive for families and corporations, may suffer in the upcoming months. And this is as a direct result of the measures regarding tariffs announced by the United States of America, which do not affect our sector directly, the insurance sector, but may well have some effects on growth and on inflation both. We see the numbers for the end of March. We compare with last year's numbers, and we see that there's an increase more than 5%, although at constant rate of exchange, the evolution would have been in excess of 8%. The group's profitability is of roughly 12%, and our combined ratio, non-life, continues to improve and is now at 94.1%. In the case of the combined ratio for autos in the group, in this first quarter of the year, we are back to balance and we are at 99.3%. This percentage will continue to have to improve, but it's important to understand that Mapfre is back to profitability in auto. We will see that a goodly portion of this improvement is thanks to the technical measures that have been implemented in Spain and which, as we said, are going to have even greater effects in this year's initial months. Despite the depreciation of currency, despite the turbulences that we have seen, especially towards the end of the quarter, we continue to see positive evolution in the profitability of our main markets and units. In this quarter, Iberia is the region that has most contributed to the group's earnings, followed by LATAM, with good contributions to profits, especially Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, and Peru, which are the more relevant countries for us. The third business to have contributed is Mapfre Re, which includes reinsurance and global risk, and which proves that, yes, we're strong and resilient with earnings in excess of 48 million euros, despite the impact in this quarter of the wildfires in California, which are in excess of 85 euros net, 85 million, of course, euros net. North America also shows an improvement, practically 100% in its contribution to profits if we compare with the first quarter of 2024. Now, as you know, we are beholden to our shareholders, and our board has approved the payout of a supplementary dividend 2024, which will be paid out on May 29. You see on screen, or in your hands, the numbers that we're publishing. So revenues 9.888 billion euros with an increase of over 5%, 5.3. As we see, premiums grow in a parallel manner. We see in constant rate of exchange terms, that is a growth of over 8%. The premiums have been definitely fostered by the excellent performance of non-life and reinsurance, we see that the offset of some Latin American currencies is good to see. Our combined ratio, which can improve in some arenas, is at a fantastic 94.1%. That's practically 2 points better than the reference, and the group's result is 276 million euros, which is 27.6% better. Our ROE, as I said at the beginning, is consolidated at roughly 12%, approximately 12%. And now our CFO is going to provide granularity regarding this quarter's numbers. Good morning and good day to all. Thank you. Yes, premiums growing by over 5% with a generalized improvement in the entire business. Non-life, we see practically 6.8 billion euros with a growth of 3.8% in general insurance, 3.5% in auto, and 5.5% in health and accidents. I would call your attention to the growth of reinsurance in excess of 7% and more than 20% in the case of global risk. And this bolstered by rate of exchange and also because in the first quarters we see more issues. In life, as you can see on the slide, we see an increase in life savings and a reduction in life risk because of the depreciation of our FX. On screen, you see information regarding premiums and earnings in the different regions and units. Let me address the more salient ones. In Iberia, the number is 3.451 billion euros, which is an increase of 3%. And we see that Spain grows by 3%, whereas Portugal premiums are 134 million euros, which is 6% more. Non-life grows by 5% and reflects the excellent evolution of general insurance growing by 8% with a notable growth in corporate. The evolution of auto plus 4.1 reflects the technical measures that have been implemented. It's very important to underscore that the combined ratio of autos in Spain has improved to a very great degree. The number now is 98.3%. This has a positive impact on Iberia's profitability, which places the ratio at 95.6%. Now, as to contribution to profits, we see 121 million euros, which is 66% more than in the same quarter last year, of which Spain contributes 119 million. And we see Brazil, where premiums amount 163 million euros. This is minus 12%, basically due to the depreciation of the real, and the result increases and is 62 million euros. The combined ratio of Brazil continues to improve and is now an excellent 76.3%, whereas the ROE is the highest in the group, approximately 26%. The rest of Latin America has also evolved nicely, and the profitability is now 56.5 million euros. North America continues to grow premiums and results. The technical results that we have implemented are the cause. 5% growth, and the number now is 661 million euros. And the result is in excess of 30 million. That's the profits, 94% more than in the first quarter of 2024. All of this with a combined ratio of 97.4%, and this thanks to an improvement in our auto insurance. EMEA, we see growth to the tune of 17%. The number is now 446 million, and we see an increase in most markets. This, of course, explains the increased profitability. The region, therefore, achieves that balance. The combined ratio, which was at practically 120%, now is at the end of the first quarter at 107.7. Mapfre Global Risk, which is our global risk area, is 21% growth in premiums and a contribution of 10 million to the bottom line. We would underscore that the combined ratio is less than 99.0%. And Maudi assistance, the premiums and services represent slightly less than the first quarter last year, and the contribution continues to be positive. And finally, reinsurance 1.733 billion, that's the premiums, and the contribution to the results is over 38 million, despite the wildfires in the United States of America, which we've described. Combined ratio is 98.5%. And we see a cautious approach regarding reserves in the face of secondary risks, which are growing, as we've observed over the past few years. On screen, you see the evolution of combined ratios and ROEs by regions and units. On the upper side, we see the results. Autos is back to profitability, as we underscored. Now, as to regions, we see the intense recovery of Iberia, over 4 points improvement, and the combined ratio now is at 95.6%. And this thanks to the recovery of a balance in auto in the region. I would also underscore the excellent performance in health and accident and general insurance. Brazil has a combined ratio which can only be defined as excellent, under 77%. And we've seen an intense pickup in the rest of LATAM, now slightly above 85%. That's the total for LATAM. And other regions and units also show positive ratios. As to EMEA, back to balance thanks to the intense improvement that we appreciate in the combined ratio. And in upcoming quarters, we will continue to see the effects of the technical measures that have been implemented in the auto. So the combined ratio in Mapfre continues to evolve and is now at well nigh 94%. On the right-hand side, you see the ROE, 12%. Brazil jumps out, bringing up the sum total in excess of 18%. That's total LATAM. And on the bottom right-hand corner, we see the information regarding Solvency II corresponding to fiscal year 2024. The definitive numbers will be reported in forthcoming weeks on 24th May. We see that Solvency II for the group is 207.4%, which is in alignment with our framework as established by the company of more or less plus less 25 points. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you, Jose Luis, thank you. And I would like to repeat that it has been an excellent beginning to the year. I believe that the results can be defined as solid, and they speak to the health of the business, robust, the profitability of Mapfre, the health of the countries, everything on the uptick. We have corrected the lack of balance in auto, which is back to profitability for the group. Of course, there's always room for improvement, but it's great news to begin this quarter seeing profits in auto. This has been quickened, especially thanks to the recovery of our activities in Spain, our most important market, although, of course, we are subject to multiple uncertainties, and we look to the United States because of the tariffs and the effects the tariffs are going to have on the global economy. But it makes sense to think that in upcoming quarters, we will continue to see improvements in the field of autos. Of course, we're cautious and prudent, and of course, we wait to see what happens with regards to those uncertainties, what happens with the geopolitical uncertainties that continue to be open. Our model, which is diversified in terms of geographies and products, is what truly protects us in the face of different scenarios that we, in fact, will be facing. One quarter, of course, will not have us explain that everything will be the same throughout the entire fiscal year, but it's good to see that we have gotten off to a very good start with solid and growing indicators. As you know, we are a company that is nearly a century old, and we are used to dealing with challenges, we're used to overcoming obstacles, and this is what encourages us to continue to be optimistic when we think about the year 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention, and we will take questions now. Thank you. We have a question from Julio Munoz from Capital Madrid. The question is, good morning. The new commercial paradigm with higher risk of a contraction, more inflation. Do you think that this might threaten the recent results in ratio, combined ratio and ROE for Mapfre? Thank you for the question, Julio. My answer is that we can reasonably respond no. It's a bit too soon to actually say what the effects are going to be of these policies regarding tariffs. Our studies center, our studies department is going to soon publish an update regarding our forecast, and what is actually being studied is a decrease by 0.5 point in global growth, a little bit less perhaps in Europe, and a stage of instability between 2025 and 2026. But what we have done is our technical homework internally. We have studied the company inside out. That hard work has been completed, and it's not going to be affected no matter what the tariffs and other macro issues might result in. Thank you. Aitor Caballero from El Economista has a number of questions. First, what is your interpretation regarding the recovery of insurance activities in Spain? And piggybacking, do you think that we are going to be breaking the 1 billion barrier? My answer to that would be, first of all, good morning, Aitor. Thank you for the question or questions. And leadership, well, we see leadership from a global vantage point. We're a global company, and we have a presence in 33 countries. So our desire, our engagement is to be global leaders. There's a very interesting ICEA ranking which talks about the global activities carried out by insurance companies headquartered in Spain, and Mapfre is more than the following two companies that follow us in the ranking. And because we're growing and we are in areas that continue to grow, this gap tends to grow on a yearly basis. Having said which, we love to be leaders everywhere in the world. And the fact that we are leaders in the first quarter is actually a source of good news for us, which we are delighted with. And furthermore, we think it's good news because it is a consequence of a very systematic strategy. In other words, we believe that insurance is really the best possible solution for any and all needs. We grow, and we always tell the same stories and sell the same products. So I think that it's also a reward to our consistent approach, to our systematic approach. Now, are we going to break the billion barrier? Well, you know that we don't advertise our budgets, and we don't step beyond what the chair has to say. The chair would have so advised during the AGM, and no reference was made to any specific figure. So no, we're not looking at any specific number, nothing concrete. But as we just explained, we're doing very nicely, and we believe that we will continue to improve on results achieved in the past. Another question about auto, about those measures which bring us back to profitability, reduction in the combined ratio of over 7 points. What do we expect to see after the beginning of the year? Are we going to be looking for decreasing ratios if we think about the strategic plan that's been set forth? Thank you for those questions. As I said before, I'm going to begin with the last one. Our objective is of a combined ratio, and what I said in my brief address before is that we need to continue to work hard along these lines. It's wonderful to have a combined ratio in auto of about 99.3, but that ratio continues to need to improve. Yes, however, it is true that having come down from 100 on this path towards improvement and thinking about the ratio we sought in our more salient deals, well, this is a different stage in time. We're going to continue to work, but we believe that it is a milestone with a capital M, and auto is back to profitability. Now, as to the tariffs, well, as we've explained, sometimes or often actually it's very difficult because we don't believe in one size fitting all. We tweak, we adjust our tariffs depending on the performance. So it's very difficult to talk about a global number because that's going to depend on the customer's performance, and also it's going to depend on the seniority of the client in the company, how many years we've been working with the client, his track record, well, whatever we believe is adapted to the client's specific needs and circumstances. So I'm not really going to give a specific number. And it's also, I think, very important to underscore the fact that fortunately, Mapfre, you think about the very many measures that have been implemented in autos in the past few years, not all of them made a reference to exclusively the list, the price list. We're talking about improving the pricing, improving subscription, improving underwriting. So inflation that we've seen in auto, well, we have not had to actually transfer that to our customers because we have improved our costs, our efficiency, and we have been able to adjust to each client's needs. Another question. We hear in your presentation that there has been variability in investment when you see other investments being addressed. What is the element? Why that variability? This one is for Jose Luis. Thank you for that question. My answer is that it's basically the unit linked. It's the growth of unit linked. There were some classifications in some countries, and that's where that's been brought to. At this point in time today, what we have is the opportunity to continue to grow in life and savings. We believe that the rates perhaps were a little bit less than what we saw a year back, and we think it's a wonderful opportunity for us. We're going to be able to continue to offer to our customers interesting, profitable products, and this explains the growth that we've seen vis-a-vis the portfolio. I would underscore that we need to remember that we're very solid if you compare with the rest of the European sector. The main component in our portfolio are sovereigns, and that represents fixed income, about 85% of our portfolio. And the weight is very, very important in government bonds. So we're very comfortable in these uncertain setting with our current portfolio. That would be my answer. Thank you. Next question, please. This is David Leonor. Back to autos. Two questions, actually. Are we going to continue to fine-tune our portfolio? And another question has to do with the evolution of the portfolio in Spain. Thank you, David, for your questions. Let me answer by saying that, as we said before, these positive results, which we believe is not something that happens because of one quarter's activities, that is the result of many years of hard work. So we're in a different scenario. We need, of course, to continue to work in order to continue to improve our combined ratio. But of course, the current scenario is a different one. And we see that we can pay a little bit more attention to issues that are directly related to growth. Now, what I would want to say is that the Mapfre portfolio is a very stable portfolio. We have not observed any major impairment in the conversion ratios or in cancellation ratios. So we would say that the performance and the results have been stable. We know that Mapfre sells by exclusive networks. So because we are not a company that looks at price, because we look at quality, that's what we provide, quality and quality service, quality products, but we need to be competitive price-wise so that our exclusive networks can continue to grow as they have grown, in fact, in previous years. A question, which is not a question, from Miguel Angel Valero. Good luck to both of you, Jose Luis especially. Thank you, Miguel Angel. You're always there. And another question is from Oscar Jimenez from El Confidencial. Have you observed a negative impact in your business in the U.S.? Are there changes in your investment portfolio in the face of growing volatility? I'm going to ask Jose Luis to address the investment portfolio portion, but I wanted... Do you fear an increase in inflation, which is going to affect claims and autos? Remember what happened in 22? Okay, the question is for Jose Luis, the middle question. The answer is no, we have not observed any negative impact in our U.S. business. As we explained in our presentation, the U.S. business is growing, and the business in the U.S. is reducing the combined ratio, and we see that the results are better, frankly. So no, there's no negative impact. Yes, we might see an increase in inflation, which will make claims more, which will result in increased claims. That's going to depend on the policies implemented by the US and other countries tariffs-wise. But I think it's too soon to reach any kind of a conclusion because we're seeing different types of movements, if you will, with regards to these policies. So the movements are large, and I think it's too soon actually to say. And I would like to share a thought with you. You know, during COVID, during the pandemic, which basically resulted in a huge increase in the inflation of our claims costs, left us very well girded to tackle inflation should inflation ensue. We have learned a lot over these past years. We have really fine-tuned our internal mechanisms, our operational, our tariffs related. We know how to use to the best degree possible our data, and we can, as they say, turn on a dime should there be a major variation with regards to inflation that would affect the auto insurance field. Thank you, Jose Manuel. As to our portfolio, I would highlight the fact that risk is our business. And when we think about our investment portfolio, we go about it as if it were part of our daily activities. The change that has ensued, I would say, over the past few weeks has affected everyone, and very much so. We invest thinking of the long term, and every day we tweak, we fine-tune our investment portfolio depending on the evolution of the market. Volatility is not by definition bad. It's an opportunity. It allows us to take our position. It allows us to invest more or to invest less. We were lucky in February because we brought down our exposure to variable income, which, as we know, generated a bit of capital gains because we wanted to continue to be conservative, because that's what we are. We're conservative, and we will achieve the best possible results in any given scenario. Now, forward looking, it's very difficult to say. You and Jose Manuel, you made a reference to these events. Yes, there is volatility. Sometimes we hear talk about tariffs. So, for instance, spares for automobiles into the States, and 2 days later, there are rumors that those tariffs are going to disappear into thin air. So I think it's too soon to actually say anything concrete. Our portfolio, about 60 billion euros, I think we are probably the largest institutional investor in Spain. So very cautiously, and because we are experts in the field, we will do as we have done. Thank you. We have a final question from Paulo Ferrer from Hispanidad. The question is, could you give us information regarding the evolution of Verti in this quarter? Premiums, combined ratio. Good morning, Pablo, and thank you for that question. My answer is we will send you the combined ratio specifics because I don't have that here, but Verti is doing beautifully, 9% growth, and it is on the growth path over the past couple of quarters. All we can say is that it's doing very, very well, and we're very, very happy not only with the evolution of the growth and of the combined ratio, but also because it is contributing to the rest of Mapfre. Verti is very innovative, it's very robust, it was born digital, and it is actually contributing to a huge degree. And we can see it in Spain as well as in other areas of the group. So we're very satisfied with Verti. And as I said, we will provide you with an update regarding the combined ratio. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We have no further questions. We are available should there be questions, should there be queries. Thank you very much, Jose Luis. Thank you very much, Jose Manuel. And we will see each other in our next quarterly update. Thank you very much and have a great day.